Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video, something which I've been waiting for what seems like an eternity. This is MSI's GK71 Sonic, the UK edition. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so today I am a very happy camper, in more ways than one. I do like camping in games because I don't have the reflexes, so camping out is very easy. And with a gaming keyboard such as the MSI GK71 Sonic, camping is very easy to do and it works very well. Now, I'm digressing completely. Let's get into this. So this is the new GK71 Sonic from MSI. This is the UK edition. It's taken what seems like about 6 to 8 months for this to actually come out to market. It's currently towards the end of August 2022, so just to give you a rough idea of timescale. This is something I've been waiting for a long time. Now, previously, one of my daily driver keyboards was MSI's own GK50 Elite. I've also tried the Elite low profile as well. Didn't really get on with the low profile switches on that one, but the GK50 Elite for me is fantastic. I love it. It's a little bit on the noisy side, and also it lacks another killer feature which I use a lot, which is a dedicated media button and volume control. So the GK71 Sonic addresses most, if not all, of those issues. So we're going to go through today, do an unboxing, go through, show you what you get, take a look at the switches, the layout, the lighting, how it integrates with MSI Dragon Center, all that kind of good stuff, how you can program macros, change your RGB settings, get it to match the output from your game if you're playing one of the kind of 7 to 11 games which are actually supported at the moment. Yes, you can have yourself a real RGB fest with this bad boy. Anyway, with that said, let's get on with it. Now, in full disclosure, this has been sent to me free of charge for review purposes by MSI UK. Sadly, they have requested it back, although I am probably going to ghost them now and not reply to the emails, and definitely not put a postage label on. So MSI, thanks very much. Thanks for a free keyboard. Anyway, let's take a look at this. So this is in MSI slightly more modern packaging now. So as you can see, this is the Vigor GK71 Sonic mechanical keyboard for those of you who haven't worked it out already. And this is using MSI's new custom switches. Now I say MSI's, it is a collaboration between MSI and KEL, and it's kind of based around the KEL Red switch. This is a red linear switch, which is kind of almost silent. It also has a very, very low actuation force of only 35 grams. On top of that, it's got an extremely low travel, so around about 1.9 millimeters to actually get it to actuate, and a full extension of 4 millimeters. So 35 grams of pressure is low. Even if you went with something like the Cherry MX Reds, the linears, they're around about 45 grams. So it's about 3/4 of the required force to actually actuate the keys, which for gaming purposes makes it great. So really twitchy, really responsive, really active. And if you're just using it for typing, again, depending on your particular preferences, you may love this, you may hate it. Okay, it is really a gaming keyboard, but for me, actually typing on it is an absolute blast. It really is. And coming from the GK50 up to the GK71, yeah, it's pretty much seamless, although the keycaps are very slightly different shaped. So if you do like that slightly more wider aspect of the GK50, you may find the GK71 keycaps are a little bit more narrow. But having said that, they are using MX type stems. So if you want to, you can just replace all the keycaps should you wish to. Although you probably won't want to, because these are particularly nice. And I've got a two-tone setup. So the top section is your regular top keycap with ABS. And the bottom bit is in a clear acrylic plastic to let that RGB goodness flood through. On the back of the box, it goes into some more details about those bits we've just gone over. So first of all, the MSI Sonic Red linear switch, as you can see there, gives you the all the information, details, etc. Also talks about the enhanced RGB lighting, which no doubt you'll be seeing a little bit later on. But the real killer thing for me, which I use a lot, especially if you're someone who uses speakers or you've got a headset or whatever, maybe there's other people that you work with or you're in the same room as, quite often you'll be interrupted or something, or you need to hear something, so you need to quickly mute your speakers or headset, that kind of stuff. So this has got a integrated 2-function media button. So the media button has got a roller on the side, which is a really nice kind of metal anodized roller, and also it is a push button as well. So for quick muting, you can just stab the mute button on the top, or if you want independent control of your volume, you can just use that on the side, and it's got a really nice tactile click to it. Also, something which they've included, which you didn't get with the GK50, is a armrest or wrist rest. So wrist rests are one of those things that you kind of love it or hate it. Now, something for me, I actually really like this one. Now, some people have actually slated it, the fact that it doesn't have any magnets, it doesn't clip to the keyboard or anything. It is basically a floating rest. Now, personally for me, I prefer that. Quite often, I find myself working, playing, fixing, doing all sorts of things at my desk, where sometimes if I've got a wrist rest, especially a captive one or magnetic one, it's a real pain in the backside, so I've got to detach it and put it somewhere or whatever. With this one, because it floats slightly, it does flex a little bit more with your contours. So if you're actually sat there typing, and you're moving around, if it's a fixed or rigid surface, sometimes it can be a little bit more uncomfortable, where with the memory foam and the fact that it does slide around a little bit, even though it has got rubber feet on it, you can still have a little bit of movement, so it's more comfortable for your wrists. You know, that's my personal opinion. Other specifications, so key switches are MSI Sonic Reds, keycaps are MSI Clear Caps, polling rate is 1000 Hz, you've got actually N key rollover, and you've got like a hybrid rollover. So depending on what key you press, it kind of senses it and knows what you're doing, so it can switch between 6 key and N key rollover, whichever is preferable, which basically to a lot of people means nothing, because the keyboard and the computer are basically looking at what you're doing and saying, yeah, that looks like that's a deliberate key press, so we'll take that one. But if you want to, if you've got particularly sausage fingers and just smash all the keys at the same time, they're all going to register. That's the way it works. So let's take a look at what we actually get inside the box. So obviously you get the keyboard itself, which is actually amazing. Nice weight to it as well. The top deck is solid metal, so nice metal deck on the top there to keep it all nice and rigid. And there is basically very little movement to the whole thing at all. Very minimal flex. You see all the keycaps and the layout there. Nice font on the keyboard as well. I particularly like this font. Very reminiscent from the GK50 if you've used one of those before. Also, you get a keycap puller, which is in the kind of MSI theme as well, with the MSI badge kind of bit cut out there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Could be quite handy. And also you get the wrist rest. So as I said before, memory foam, really nicely done. Nice spongy feel to it. Not too soft, not too hard, just in that kind of Goldilocks zone where it's just right. And on the back you've got 8 rubber pads to keep it nicely planted on your desk, so when it's on, it doesn't really want to move around anywhere. So again, it's going to take a lot of moving to do it, but the odd bump from the side is going to move it around slightly. You'll also notice on the back there is a cable channel, which is across, and also on the back of the keyboard it goes on exactly the same. So if you want to, you can run, say, a microphone cable or your mouse cable, whatever you want to on there. You don't have to, but the option's there should you wish to. Taking a closer look at the keyboard itself, so you've got a 2-meter cable on here, which is nicely braided. There is a cable management strap there, and also, weirdly, I don't know why, there is also a green Velcro one on there. Whether that's meant to be on there or not, I don't know, so possibly you won't get that in yours. This might be just because it's a review sample, but yeah, I'm using it anyway. The cable, no real cable management as such on the sides. A little bit there and there, not a great deal, so you can use that should you wish to. Again, rubber feet on the stands, and they're really nice and clicky and strong. That's I think it's actually making the microphone peak a little bit there. I do apologise. 4 rubber feet on the front there to keep it all nicely planted, and the rubber feet are actually on both sides of the legs, so if you have it completely flat, then it is going to stay completely where it needs to be, or you can raise it up. And it actually does have quite a considerable rake to it as well. So when it is actually in the upright state, there is quite a definite rake to it, certainly more than the GK50. So let's take a look at some of the keys that we've got here. So obviously got those nice acrylic RGB keycaps with the solid tops and acrylic fronts. The acrylic is going to pick up fingerprints and dust and dirt and debris like an absolute magnet, and because it's clear, it's going to shine through and you're going to notice it. So probably get yourself some isopropyl alcohol or some wipes just in case. But for most people, I think it's going to be absolutely fine. Nice keycaps, nice sort of satin finish on them. They do pick up a little bit of grease, but it wasn't too bad. I've actually cleaned this up since I've used it. I did actually test this whilst eating pie and chips. So there was some grease and grime, and actually, yep, I don't think you can tell at all. And obviously, when I send it back to MSI, hopefully they won't notice it either. So other things of note, so you've got function keys, so you've got the MSI key down the bottom here, so you press that, the F5 key lights up, so you can set macros, all that kind of stuff if you wish to. So if you don't want to use MSI Center or Dragon Center, then you don't have to, you can control lighting, etc. from the onboard keys. It doesn't give you quite the granularity that you'd have in the app itself, which we'll take a look at later, but certainly you can do. What is good is there is actually RGB level adjustment for the lighting. Now the lighting on here is kind of piercing is the only word I can use for it. It is very, very bright. Now for me personally, I really like that. It is considerably brighter than things like Corsair's K70, which is known to be quite bright. I find it even brighter than that, and I think it's actually brighter than the GK50. I'll show you some side-by-side examples now, so you can see the two compared. Definitely there is a little bit more brightness coming from the GK71 Sonic than there is from the GK50. They're both at their full brightness levels. What makes it stand out even more so is when you actually choose a solid colour, such as white in this example, then you can actually see the red underglow of the red MSI switches. And also I think the white actually looks a little bit clearer than it does through the more filtered or more opaque shading of the GK50 keycaps. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Also, you've got your dedicated afterburner button there if you want to use that, and obviously you've got your control keys at the top. The cool thing, which I really like on this, is the media control. So we've got our media control button here. So press it in on the top, and that is the difference between mute and unmute. And then you can twist that either on the top or on the side, or whichever one is more accessible for you, your choice entirely. You probably use both, to be honest with you, most of the time. Something that I don't like, which it pains me to say actually, because pretty much this keyboard is perfect in a lot of ways, other than the media buttons here. These three media buttons suck. They genuinely do. They are hideous. They're functional, just about, but they've got a really hard indent to them. They're not normal switches, so if I click it, it sounds and feels it very, very cheaply done. For me personally, it isn't a deal breaker because I rarely use those anyway, play, pause, fast forward, rewind. This is the one I'm more concerned about. But if you do use your play and fast forward buttons on the keyboard a lot, then yeah, they are functional, but they are quite hard to press, really clicky, very stiff. Now they may loosen up with time if you use them enough, but realistically, most people can use them a great deal. That can be said also for the key switches in here. When you get out of the box for the first time and start using it, it will actually feel like there is quite a lot of resistance to it, but after a very short time you get used to it and it does soften up actually quite dramatically. It's got to the point now where they are actually very soft feeling pretty much throughout the entire keyboard. So I think next thing to do is to get this thing fired up and we can see what the RGB lighting is actually like. Okay, so this is the software. I should show you this briefly. So this is MSI's Dragon Center. You can use Mystic Light to control or synchronize all your bits, so motherboard, RAM, headset, keyboard, mouse, etc. I've actually got both plugged in at the moment, the GK50 Elite and also the GK71 Sonic. You can choose your colours, obviously, through the ones that are available, so rainbow, colour shift, etc., all that kind of usual stuff. If you go into gaming gear, you can then go into keyboard, and there we go, there's our GK71 Sonic. So you've got three profiles that you can choose from. And of those three profiles, each one of them has got 30 macros. So yeah, there's a ton of macros you can set up there, and you can choose your language there, whichever one is applicable to you. Record your macros, save them, etc., upload them, all that kind of good stuff. And obviously, if you want to change the lighting, you can do that individually or actually in Mystic Light, which is probably a lot easier to do. So you can press the MSI key, this one here, and then you can use this button here, so you can turn it off pretty much altogether if you want to, or choose a setting which suits you, whichever brightness level you want. That is on full. You've also got direction, so you can choose whether the RGB goes in one direction or another. That is when it's not connected to the MSI software. You also got game setups, so you can go through, cycle through those. And you've got that kind of ripple effect, which is quite nice. Or yeah, you can turn it all off. There is just a traditional fade as well, so if you want to use that, you can do, however you see fit. Taking the keycaps off, again, very simple. You can, if you want to, use the included keycap puller, or if you want to, just simply pop one off. And there you can see it's got the MX style stem on there, that opaque side, and then you've got the regular traditional keycap on the top. There's a really nice legend, and the lighting does shine through there quite nicely. So putting it back on, just press it, push it back on, and job done. Looks very nice. And typing noise, let's give you an example of what it's like to actually type on. So there you go, there is what the keyboard sounds like, what it looks like, and all that other kind of good stuff. Now, the one thing I haven't mentioned at the moment is the price, which there will be links in the video description so you can check out for yourselves. The launch price for this is somewhere in the region of about £100 here in the UK, which, considering the keyboard, I get it. It's kind of on par with what the GK50 Elite was when it first came out, although we have seen that drop quite considerably down to £60, £75, that sort of thing. So no doubt we will see similar sort of drops on this anyway. Whether or not it's worth £100 is down to the individual. Now, trying to get a combination of key switches that I like the sound of, and also the media controls and the ability to synchronize with my MSI peripherals, it makes the decision a no-brainer. It's well worth the money just to not have the hassle of having various types of different RGB software, or not having a dedicated media button, which I do use on a regular basis. But for other people, if you don't need to have those specific things, then I feel there are other options on the market which may be preferable. Things like Corsair's K70 Mark II is definitely a potential. Keys aren't quite as quiet, not actually quite as nice to type on either. Really, it's one of those things that you're going to have to try it. The conjunction of MSI and the Kel switches, what they've done with them, the Sonic switch, I personally really like. It's a very lightweight switch. It's relatively silent. I'm not going to say it is silent because it isn't, but in terms of what other mechanical switches are out there, such as your Cherry MX Blues, even the Browns, they are considerably a lot more noisier than this is. So yeah, if noise is a concern, RGB is a concern, and you like your media buttons, this is definitely something to keep an eye out for. Anyway, that's enough for me. I really like this, and I'm hoping MSI aren't going to notice I haven't sent it back. No doubt you'll find out in our live streams if they did or not. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe, click the chime button, and keep an eye out for our Saturday live streams. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.